Welcome to this week's Your High School Sports, powered by Krispy Kreme Donuts on the Parkway in Pigeon Forge and on Highway 66 right here in Sevierville. I'm your host, Roddy Woods, along with Jake Nichols and Chris Reddick. And Chris Blevins is also with us, but he's on assignment. He went to Lake Placid, Florida to catch the Green Dragons home opener. Chris, are you ready to take us around the nation and across the region?
Yes, and I'm going to start real quick. I know we've got a lot of information to talk about, but you know what? We left off with a school that was ranked according to USA Today at #1 was Thomas Aquinas out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And you know what? They took a trip 3,000 miles across the country, across the nation, California to take on DeSalle, which is another top 10 team. The reason why I just want to point this out because we talked about an incredible receiver by the name of Marcus Rosenmead. And what makes him so great? Well, all you got to do is watch his highlights on the internet. I mean, this guy had a spectacular catch on national TV, a nice one-handed catch, and you know who was out there in the stands that was cheering him on, that was so impressed. Another great receiver, Antonio Brown, was like, man, this is the guy right here. So I want you to make sure you keep all eyes on Mr. Marcus and his team and see what they're going to do the rest of the year. By the way, as of now, he's committed to Georgia, so he may be playing against UT a little bit.
Yeah. Ranked #1 by USA Today. Their high school. What do you got, sir, from Southwest Virginia?
Well, from that region, I've got a couple quick things. I'm still really looking at the Graham G-men this week. They have a big matchup against Bluefield out of West Virginia. Graham, the defending state champs in AA in the state of Virginia. They went 14-1 last year with that one loss coming to Bluefield. After that loss, they went 14-0, won the state title. Bluefield 2017 state champs out of West Virginia. So I'm looking for that to be a big matchup this week. The two communities are very close.
Well, you know, hey, we're going to set up East Tennessee, but first, I had a chance to catch up with Gary Rankin. Alcoa head coach Tornadoes took a trip to Middle Tennessee last week to take on Murfreesboro Blackman. Let's hear a clip from Coach Rankin. How big a win was this for you, Coach?
It was big. It was big. You know, they had a lot of things going for them. They had just put down their new turf, and they were dedicating their new turf. So, you know, that was the first game on that turf, and I'm sure they wanted to win that game. A couple of their coaches played for me when I was at Riverdale, and you know, we had to take a fairly young team on that 3-hour bus trip and go into that hostile crowd and play was. I was really impressed with our kids and the effort our kids gave. And, you know, things didn't go good for us early offensively for sure, but we kept hanging in there and finally made some plays and got a few things going. And had just had a huge kickoff return right at the end of the half that really, I thought, really sparked us back and got us going for the second half.
Thanks, Coach. You know, hey, I think Alcoa is clicking.
Alcoa, I think, that, like you were mentioning there about after the kickoff.
Yeah.
I think they got new light there. I think they realized who they are, and that tornado is now swirling. It's going to keep swirling.
You know, that's one of my gold balls. So that's right. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Middle and West Tennessee.
Well, before that, let's talk Tri-Cities.
Let's talk Tri-Cities. I was trying to leave you. I was going to give you the last link. I was going to give that to Jake. I was going to work, but no, let's go Tri-Cities because some good things are happening in Tri-Cities. Your Elizabethton team took it to Science Hill.
Yes, Elizabethton finally said, hey, we are the Cyclones. Speaking of these whirlwinds, this cyclone whirlwinded into Science Hill and took, some people may say a surprising victory. But you know, I had all. I'm gonna say that. Sorry, Sean. But I had all the faith in the world in my Cyclones. But anyway, outstanding players showed out. Of course, Chris Thomas, to give credit to Science Hill, they did have a young line, but he still managed to get almost 200 yards. So, yes. But they, as you can see in the video there that's playing, they were able to shut him down at some key points. But somebody that was like a wow factor, yes. They called him Cade Clutch. And I'm talking about Cade Maupin, who used to play for Dobbins Bennett. He's come over to help out the Cyclones, and man, this guy did it all. He was quarterback, got it done. Running back, got it done. Defensive back, which, you can see there on the video, makes a spectacular, talking about that catch Marcus with. Look what my man Cade made with the one-handed catch there that saved the touchdown that helped seal the deal for the mighty Cyclones to get the victory.
All right, and you can't leave out, when you're talking Tri-Cities, you can't leave out Greenville and Powell.
Oh, that's right. That actually kicked off the football season. Greenville and Powell played on TV, and we saw Greenville go down, and guess what? Mr. Jake Nichols was there to capture that. Jake, can you brief us on that?
Well, it was a fantastic game, first of all, guys. 19-17, Powell with the win. But coming off of that, I know that Dan Hammonds has a big legacy to live up to with Kane Ballard. But it's got to be tough coming off a 30-game win streak, losing to Powell like that. But give credit to Matt Lowe and the Panthers for getting it done. But I don't think we've seen the last of Greenville just yet.
I agree with you 100% there, Mr. Jake. Hey, when we come back here on your high school sports, we're going to go down to Lake Placid, and we're going to catch up and see what Chris Blevins has been doing besides laying in the sun. So make sure you stay right here on yourhighschoolsports.com. We're coming right back.
I'll tell you what, you don't have to look far to get savings right here at Bachman Bernard Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac in Greenville. Save up to $10,000 on a brand new 2019 Buick Encore. Save up to $10,500 on a brand new 2019 Buick Enclave. And I'll tell you what, how about saving up to $12,000 on a brand new 2019 Buick LaCrosse? Up to $12,000. Make the short trip to Bachman Bernard Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac right here in Greenville, where as always, I'm going to save you money.
Welcome back to your high school sports. Okay, Jake, it's your turn. Let's talk Middle Tennessee and West Tennessee.
Now, for Middle Tennessee, I know last week I talked a lot about Ravenwood. We're looking at them again this week, coming off a big 49-21 win over Centennial. Now, last week, whenever I talked about Ravenwood, I talked about the defense that they had, especially with Reggie Grimes at defensive end. But this week, it was their offense that really got it done for them, especially at quarterback. Brian Garcia for them had 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing, ended up having 267 yards of total offense overall, including an 80-yard touchdown strike to start that game. So really looking for their offense to put up big numbers again this year, along with their defense. The Raptors are in the national spotlight right now, and for good reason. They have a big matchup against Blackman coming up that I think is going to be really big, that we're going to allude to for later in the show. But another team to watch is the Brentwood Bruins. They were 10-3 last season. This week got a big 9-6 win over Montgomery Bell Academy in overtime. Credit Cade Grasbo with the win as he scored a touchdown at quarterback to lead them in overtime, to lead the Bruins to that victory. So really watch for them again this season. They are definitely up and coming. Another one, Pearl Cone versus Montgomery Bell Academy this week. Now, Pearl Cone has never beaten Montgomery Bell Academy in the history of this rivalry. Ooh. They're looking to avenge that this week. Last season, NBA with a 10-point win, but they also had Jackson Lampley on their offensive line. Meanwhile, Pearl Cone losing Elijah Simmons to Rocky Top as he's now playing with Jackson Lampley. But the Firebirds also have a major weapon on offense in Kendrich Breedlow. So really look for him to play a big spot at the wide receiver position for them. Now going on down to West Tennessee. Really looking at Houston as they take on Memphis Central. Central coming off a big upset loss to Cordova. It was a 1-point loss for them. And Central coming off a big win over South Haven out of Mississippi in week 1. Houston coming off a big win over South Haven in week 1. So that's really a big matchup to watch for me down in West Tennessee. Now, just for a moment, if you all would indulge me, I'm going to take a little proud alumnus moment as Jackson Christian, my old high school, got a big W this week over FACS. If you watch the highlight there, a little under 50 seconds left. My man, Caden Clark, gets the snap, drops back, finds Peyton Tinsley over the middle for 67 yards and the touchdown there in the final seconds. Jackson Christian with a 30-28 win, and I know those Eagle fans were pretty happy.
Congratulations. All right, we've talked about it. Let's go to Lake Placid, Florida, and check in with Chris Blevins. Tell us about the Lake Placid Dragons, Chris.
Man, Roddy, it's been great down here. I mean, of course, beside the beautiful weather down here in Florida, Coach White gave us a grand tour of your high school sports down here in Lake Placid. They got a beautiful place down here. The kids are just outstanding. I can't say enough about the hospitableness of this whole community and how they treated us down here. And overall, Coach is doing a really good job. Of course, it's his first year being down here, but people are excited about football down here. Excited for Coach White to come down and get their football team and take these kids under his wing. It was really nice to see all the little things that he's doing, of cleaning up the locker rooms, to how he's getting the fans involved, the parents, and then all the kids, how they're behind this program, and you can just sense the energy and sense how they want to do something special here. Bubba's got his kids in the right position. He's teaching them the right way. And I really believe that, Lake Placid's going to have a good year. I mean, 54-20 against a really good team this past week on Friday night was really good. I think that's pretty exciting for Lake Placid and Coach White and his football team.
Well, we appreciate you being down there and reporting back to your high school sports. We miss you on the set, but I know you enjoying yourself down there in Lake Placid, Florida. We've been talking to Chris Blevins. He's on the road this week. He is in Lake Placid, Florida. He'll be back next week right here on Your High School Sports. Great interview from Chris. A lot of good things down there. I am so proud of Coach Bubba White for being down there. He's just like he's turned things around down there. So I got a good shout out to you, Coach. All right, guys, let's go around the region, across the nation. Your key game of the week, your pick.
Well, for Middle Tennessee, I am going with Ravenwood against Blackman. Now, last week, Blackman lost to Alcoa, and this week they're facing a very good team in Ravenwood. Both very talented programs coming in, so I think that is going to be a big one to watch. Now, for West Tennessee, I am really looking at Hardin County as they take on Adamsville. Now, I know this rivalry personally, growing up and going to Adamsville several times a year on business with my grandmother. This rivalry has no love lost between these teams. They're very close. Every season when they play each other, the streets are just flooded with people. Whenever one of the visitors comes into town, all over the buses, gets stuff. It's not
one of them kind of rivalries, huh?
Is the visitor in this program. Now, Hardin County with a big win last season, but I am looking at Adamsville to put up big numbers as well, so really one to watch there in West Tennessee.
What do you got, Mr. Reddick?
Game of the week, I got picked out of the Tri-Cities. We're going to see if Science Hill can bounce back from that upsetting loss from Betsy as they travel into Davy Crockett and play them. So that's my pick.
That should be a good game.
Well,
Crockett, one of our top 17 players. Yeah. 2 of them playing in this game. You got one from Science Hill and you got one from Davy Crockett. I
got a question for you.
What?
Who's your pick of the week since Chris Blevins is not in the
Well, I'm gonna take Alcoa versus Austin East. Alcoa coming off a big win down in Murfreesboro, last week against Blackman, and Austin East coming off a big win. So you said something earlier. This game should not be played right now. Mm-hmm. It could be played later on in the season because it is a key matchup.
It's at stake right now.
It's a district matchup. If somehow Austin East could slip in there and get one.
Ooh, that interesting.
I wanted to ask Coach about the game coming up in a few weeks. That he's got another big game. Alcoa does. You got to still play Maryville.
Ooh, right.
You still got to play Maryville, so so you can't have any slip-ups, So I would say, that's my key. That's my game right there, because that could be
that's a good one. I just wish it wasn't so early.
I mean, that's why I think Coach Rankin was the same way. Austin East got lots of speed. I know, Coach. You just come back from Blackman, okay? We just beat Murfreesboro Blackman, 6A Murfreesboro Blackman, okay. All right, guys. All right, let me throw some things at you. Always remember, Mondays is TSSAA high school polls come out. Your high school sports top 10. Tuesday, this internet show that we're doing now will air at 3 p.m. Wednesday is the magazine debut. Volume number 3 will be out. Thursday is the coach's interview. You'll see the full coach's interview from Coach Rankin on Thursday because that is one of our games of the week. And then Friday is our quick pick show, airing at 11 a.m. So the games that we will go over just in a few minutes, we will pick these games in our quick pick show.
Okay. And then I guess so we're going to pick our game of the week.
Pick your game of the week.
All right. I think Jake had a good idea
What?
for the overall game of the week.
I think so too. What's your overall?
I think my overall right now would be Graham against Bluefield. Now, I don't know how many people know this, but this rivalry, according to what I read online, dates back to 1911.
Oh man, they play with no face mask.
Like I said, no love lost between these communities once the ball kicks off. And last season, Graham lost to Bluefield, but went on to win the state title. The year before that, Bluefield won the state title for West Virginia. So really looking for that to be a very big matchup, especially considering the history there.
Okay, I'll vote on that one. That'll be our yourhighschoolsports.com game of the week.
But the people may not like it.
You got an idea? Tell them what they can do.
Well, I tell you what. If you do not like our overall pick of the week as the game of the week, the Your High School Sports game of the week, before Roddy goes through the quick picks here, we're going to point those quick picks out, and if some of these quick picks may be one of your games of the week, you just let us know either on Facebook or on Instagram or on Twitter, and tell us what you think the game of the week should be here in the region. So,
All right,
with that being said, what do we got?
here we go. Memphis Central versus Houston, Ravenwood at Blackman, Pearl Cone, MBA, Alcoa, AE, Cobb County High School versus Northview Academy. We've got to give Scotty a shout out.
There we go.
All right, your game, Science Hill, Hilltoppers, taking on Davy Crockett.
Vote for that one.
Graham, Virginia versus Bluefield, West Virginia.
Vote for that one.
Vote for that one, okay. We've got
Wild ticket here.
Wild ticket. Oak Ridge takes on Dobbins Bennett.
Pretty good one.
Lake Placid, Florida takes on DeSoto County. That's a good one. And then we've got
Greenville, Daniel Boone. That's a good one.
I was going to get to that one. You're looking over my shoulder. And Knox Catholic travels to Highlands, Kentucky. What is that, Jake? It's a classic or something, right? Football kickoff?
They are playing in the Pigskin Classic up in Corbin, Kentucky this weekend. Now, that is actually a pretty big matchup. Highlands, according to their Twitter, they are 23-time state champions up in the state of Kentucky. So that will be no small task for Steve Matthews and Cooper Mays.
Okay. And then you got Hampton and Unicoi County. And the game you talked about, Adamsville and
Hardin County.
Hardin County. That will be our last one. So like Chris said, if you have a game you think out of this matchup, some of these games, you go to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and you vote by Friday. It has to be in by what time? What time? What time you want to see it?
Friday by when does school start? For most
8 o'clock.
Yeah, before 8 o'clock.
Before 8 o'clock, because the Quick Pick show comes on at 11 a.m. Friday morning. So, guys, it's been fun for Jake Nichols, for Chris Reddick, and Chris Blevins, traveling back from Florida. I'm Roddy Woods, and we'll see you next week right here on Your High School Sports. We are your source for football in the Southeast.